It's early June here on Bailey Road, and a lot is happening in the garden. Although I know some of you are probably looking at this and saying, what's happening with all the weeds? Well, let's take a closer look and I'll explain what's going on and give you kind of an update as to how things are going at this early point in the season. The weeds, when you look closer, are actually a winter cover. You can see a variety of plants that are in there that are annuals, and they are going to produce a biomass that will be cut down. I'll do a chop and drop, and we'll put all of that back into the soil, enriching it. As well as underneath the earth, we have all kinds of roots that are loosening up the soil and enriching that and providing lots of wonderful places for the microorganisms to live. Now, if we look toward the back of the garden, we can see that some progress has been made, and we've been working toward the front. So it's not all at the point of the biomass not being cut into the ground, the chop and drop yet. Let's take a look at some of the beds that are ready. We'll begin over here in the pile that was mulch and compost, decomposing leaves and grass clippings and all from last year. The pumpkins have now been planted, and you can see some sunflowers. Some of them are actually volunteers from last year. A little bit early here, but we have some summer squash emerging. And then in this bed, we have quite a few trees that we've been collecting around the property, and some of these will be going to our son Andrew's home. Blackberries have been relocated this year, and we have a little bit of a fence piece for them to climb, and we'll be trimming them to be able to produce a large, hopefully good-sized harvest out of this little patch. We have two beds of butternut squash, and you can see we provide fence for that so they can grow vertically and conserve some space. It also allows us to see how much the yield is, and we can tend to them as they climb. Similar arrangement, not yet covered to protect, and that's one thing we're doing this year, is doing a lot of mulching to protect our compost so it doesn't dry out from the sun. But this is spaghetti squash. Next bed over from the spaghetti squash is the acorn, and this is a semi-bush variety. We'll see how that works out. And we do have some tomatoes planted. These have been up-potted. We started them from seed and then put them into 4-inch pots, and then we had them in quart size before we put them in the ground last week. A few early crops that are in, some carrots and some beets here. Another bed of the climbing tomatoes. You can see we haven't done the string arrangements yet, but a little bit later in the season you'll see those going. In this grow camp, we're trying some determinate varieties of tomatoes. Hopefully they'll work out in here. They need to be staked up. We'll get to that hopefully later today. The early crops, we have some great radishes coming on this side. There's a nice French variety you can see. And then over on the other side, the traditional round variety. We're struggling with green beans though. 2 sets of them, and they've been nibbled off. We suspect it's been turkeys that we've seen over here in the morning. Look at the round radishes from the other side. The purple globe turnips are coming up along with a bed of onions. There is a new compost station that we've set up with the 3 bays made out of pallets, on their sides. It's worked out great. The 2 beds to the right were filled, and all of that compost now is out in the beds, been planted out. Up on the top, you can see some of the up-potting, and we're really hardening the plants off this year before they go into the ground. We got the potatoes in early, and they're really coming up. We have 2 varieties. There's a red Pontiac and a Yukon Gold. Greenhouse is getting a little warm. We've got lots of flowers started, some zinnias and sunflowers, and this is where a lot of the veggies got started, but we've got to get things out of there. The sun's coming on. We just had 4 days of drizzle, so we've been protecting everything and bringing them in and out of here and the potting shed so that we don't end up with blight. Some great looking early crops coming in here with cabbage and broccoli, bok choy, and lettuce in this grow camp. And then outside here, some beautiful lettuce that we've been enjoying, some delicious Swiss chard, And we have a reasonably good crop of strawberries. And with the strawberries, we're actually using straw this year to protect them, and they're staying nice and clean. We're trying to keep the chipmunks out. Over here, the eggplant is running. You know, we've protected that. We really hardened it off, and we put that in. It's been in the bed now for just about a week. Probably show you what's happening inside the potting shed, because it's always interesting to see. This has been great during the drizzle over the last 4 days, putting all the plants in here. Some of them are going to be able to come out today. We're hardening them off, but it's been a great working station. You can see some of the things that we've done here, up potting the plants, starting them in our little starter sets, and then moving them. So it's been a really productive spot here this year. I should zoom in and show you the broccoli, how it's taking shape, and the beautiful lettuce and bok choy over on this side. Over in this grow camp, we have all kinds of flowers growing. You can see mostly dahlias, and we have some phlox that we have taken from some cuttings, as well as some sunflowers that are getting started there. I do some succession planting with the Roma tomatoes. This is our first group that we've put in, and we're hoping to make some sauce this summer. And we have a second group that has just started that hopefully we'll be doing that in late summer. The next two beds we're in the process of planting out. These are all hot peppers. We have hot cherries, some hot Portugal, some cayennes, and some Hungarian wax. These just went in yesterday, and we'll get them most over today.
I'm sorry that I didn't keep the video camera running, but here's how the garden progressed as we continued to cut down the winter cover. It almost seemed like a shame to cut down the winter cover because it was doing so much for us, growing away and adding a great habitat for all of the pollinators that were starting to come. But I know they'll find other places in our gardens, as we have planted many annuals as well as the perennials are starting to bloom. But here's a couple of parting shots of the insects, our pollinators that had made their way to the garden, doing their job to contribute to our wonderful garden and anticipated harvest. Well, this video is about to end rather abruptly. I didn't really have a conclusion for it. But of course, this is the beginning of the season, and there's lots more. I'm hoping to be able to make some future videos that will show you the progression of the garden through the summer and right up until harvest. But here's some parting shots kind of showing you how the garden is now ready to nearly completely plant with most of the cover crop down. Hope to see you soon in our next video. Thank you for watching.